Hello, everybody, and welcome to the virtual Vienna, run by singers, Mozart's Requiem. I think everything technically is working. I can see that many of you have already started chatting. I'm getting a double sound from my phone, so all the technology... Yep, that's sorted. Good. Good morning. My name is Matt Finch. I say good morning. It's going to be really exciting because, of course, we've got some people who are watching this live at 3 o'clock in the morning, and people all over the world. If you haven't seen the little chat at the side of your YouTube channel, if I show you what's going on, here is, just bring it across, here's the chat. Morning, Pat Jenkins. Morning, Neil. I mean, there's over 300 people now chatting. We've got absolutely loads of people. We've got people from Geneva, Germany, Belgium, France, Australia, United States of America, 3 a.m. in Seattle. Well done you for staying up for that. Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, Hong Kong, Sweden, New Zealand. I've seen them all popping up. So it's fantastic. Yes, Steve Powell, well done for 3 o'clock a.m. in the morning. I don't know whether I could cope with that myself. That is really impressive. So I'm going to move that chat out the way just so that I can keep an eye on it. It's on my screen over here, but I'm going to concentrate on you. It's really good to have you all here. This is the plan of this morning's welcome session, just so that you know what's going to happen. In a moment, we're going to have a little video introduction from Nick, who is the man who's brought all this together. So he's the main man. He's brilliant. He's quietly sitting in the background, cringing probably that his video is going to be shown. But we will see his video and he'll just chat about how we've got to where we are and how excited he is about it. Then we're going to talk about the timetable of the next 2 weeks and how the rehearsals are going to run. And then we are going to sing. We're going to sing two movements from the Requiem. We're going to, so you will need your scores. And we're just going to be singing along with the tutti, so you can hear all 4 parts at once and just give it a whirl. We're then going to have a chat about how we're going to do the recording and your equipment that you might need. And then we're going to have our short lecture from Jeremy Jackson talking about the actual Mozart and some of the little quirky little things all about it. So, most importantly, remember, you can pause this at any time. It's a bit like live TV. You know, the doorbell goes or someone shouts out, "Mum, Dad, can you just..." Pause it. It's not a problem. You'll just be a little bit behind everybody else in the world. Yeah, but don't worry about it. You can even come back later on and catch up. It's not a problem. So that's really important that you understand that, because you can also rewind and watch anything again. It's totally in your hands, even though it's very exciting and live. I'm just going to check out some of the comments here, just so that you know that I am reading this. Hello, Yvonne and Yvonne White and Michael. 426 and rising. I think Nick has got about 1,000 singers signed up at least, and 200 of those are in America. So many of those will not be up at this 3 a.m. Hour. So we'll see how they do. I can't imagine singing at 3 o'clock in the morning, so thumbs up to you. Everybody in the UK, it's 11 o'clock. I think it's sunny outside and it's looking good. So, without me doing any more talking for a moment, I'm going to go over and we're going to watch the little video from Nick, who will be explaining what's going on and how we're here. So this is a little video from Nick. Here we go.
Hello, my name's Nick Couchman and I'm the founder of Run by Singers, which is this organisation. As many of you know who've been on our wonderful holidays, our business is all about taking groups of people and travelling abroad and singing wonderful music in wonderful places. We've been doing it for about 17 years now, and this year we would have had our 100th event. Well, like so many other people's plans, COVID changed all that. So we're making music in a different way. And I'll be honest with you, When virtual singing and Zoom rehearsals started back in March and April, I wasn't convinced. I'll share that with you. I thought this isn't really a very satisfactory experience. But in this particular part of the UK, there's some people like Matt Finch and his talented friend Ben England who've changed that. They've managed to harness the technology in such a way that they can create a much more immersive experience with background singers, instruments, and they are expert in getting the absolute best out of what the kit can do. So here we are, and we've got singers from all over the world, from America, Australia, Finland, Germany, Hong Kong. It's starting to sound a bit alphabetical, but I don't think we've got anybody from Iceland. Not yet. Anyway, we're here to enjoy ourselves, to celebrate Mozart, and also importantly, to make a CD. Now, this is our first online initiative, but it's not our first CD. We've made some wonderful CDs in the past, including a Handel's Messiah in the National Concert Hall in Dublin. But this one is special. This one is going to raise money for Requiem to Cancer, which is a cancer charity set up by musicians, in fact, set up by a former run-by tenor, Simon Wood, who sadly passed away. And what they do is they get together in London once a year for a 24-hour Requiem sing-a-thon, which normally I'd be going to because Run by Singers sponsors it. But that can't happen this year. So it's very important that we get lots of contributions to the CD, and we sell lots of CDs, and we make lots of money for Requiem to Cancer. We will be talking a little bit about recording later. We've even got a little video. We've got some instructions. It isn't difficult, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Sing with passion, sing with energy, enjoy yourself, listen to what Matt is saying, watch his beat, and just sing normally. If you make the odd mistake, well, it's not the end of the world. Your voice will be blended in with the rest of the choir and with a full orchestra. You know, we've got some of the best musicians, the best Baroque musicians in the country who've already recorded their contributions and sent them in. So we're looking forward to that. And we're really looking forward to singing this wonderful piece of music together and to really enjoying and celebrating the genius of Mozart. And next year, hopefully, we'll be able to take that experience back to Vienna, which is where we should be this year and where we have been a number of times and always thoroughly enjoyed the experience. We're very lucky to have Matt Finch to direct this week for us. He's a very talented musician. He conducts a number of choirs. He's a composer. He's a polymath. He's a technical whiz, but most of all, he's a really nice bloke, and I'm sure we're all going to enjoy singing with him very much. I can't wait. Over to you, Matt. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Nick, for introducing me as a very nice bloke. That's lovely. That's a nice, kind compliment. Keep those comments coming in. It's lovely to see you all having a chat and realising, oh yeah, I was on that holiday with you, or you're in Bath as well. Hello, Sarah in Bath, friend from Bath. It's a way of you having a little communication, a chat. We know that it's not quite the same as a real rehearsal, but the good thing about virtual rehearsals is you can actually chat while people are having their notes bashed and all that sort of thing. So normally as a choir master I'd be saying, shh, be quiet, stop chatting. But of course you can. So one of the joys of virtual choirs. So just a quick rundown of how the timetable is going to work and what we really would love you to help us contribute to this CD. Now, there are people here that have sung Mozart's Requiem at least twice or three times a year, for example, and there's others this is their first time. So we've got a great big range, and this is why this virtual choir works really nicely. If you're an expert in Mozart's Requiem, then you probably can just watch the video once with me, make sure we've got the right endings, some of the sort of tricky corners. If you're a novice, you can watch it over and over and over again. So the idea is at the end of this week, week 1, all those who are going to record themselves singing and want to be stars on the CD, we're going to get to the end of that week and then give you the weekend to try and record everything that we've rehearsed this week, which is going to be up as far as Lacrimosa, hopefully, if everything goes well. So about half of the work. And you're going to do your singing, do your recording, and upload it. And then the week after, we do the second half, and we work through that. And again, you've got the weekend to do your recording and send it to Nick, because we've only got 2 weeks after that for our Christmas concert. I say Christmas, it's on December the 5th. Everything feels like Christmas at the moment because there's not a lot else in the diary. So we've got the 5th of December where we will be pulling this all together. That gives our sound chap, Connor, who is amazeballs, he's brilliant, it only gives him 2 weeks to take all your recordings, put them together with the orchestra that's already done and our soloists, and bring it all together for that concert. So the quicker you can get your recordings in, the faster he can get working. And we'll talk about how you do that later. That's only 2 weeks for him. And if you think, I can't do the maths, but even if there was 100 singers and there are 14 movements, that's a lot of tracks that he's got to pull together. So as the earlier you can get the stuff in, brilliant. So that's enough of the timetable. In the rehearsals, which this morning is more of a welcome and just working out how it's going to work. The rehearsal that starts this afternoon, I think I've got sopranos first this afternoon. It will be me and the piano, which I have in front of me here. Hopefully you can hear that. So that will be that. And then I've also got a clever little box, which I can just about show you here, which I can program in with all the different choral parts. So at a touch of a button, I can just call up the soprano parts for Lacrimosa, press the button, and we'll be singing along with the soprano singing extra loud compared to the other voices. You will hear all the other voices too, because quite a lot of this is very contrapuntal. You want to be able to hear all the different parts when you're coming in and what you're blending with. So that's already pre-recorded. So I can just press go and we get that. It's a tight time frame in rehearsals because we only got an hour and a half. I've got a little schedule that says, you've got 16 minutes to learn that bit, 14 minutes to learn that bit. It's going to be tight. But the power of YouTube, remember, you can rewind and listen to it over and over and over again. That's the same with the recording. You can go back to where we're going to record and use that for your recording. We'll talk about that more in a bit. One other thing, just to let you know, we are recording at Baroque pitch, which is 430. Now, that might mean something to some of you, nothing to some of you. It just means it's slightly lower than what you see on the printed page. So if you're going to play along with your piano, along with some of the music that's being played, you might think, oh, that sounds a bit out of tune. It will do, because what's coming to you is slightly lower. That means that we can use the things like the instruments like the basset horn, which just plays a little bit lower. And it also means that you don't necessarily have to hit top A's. It's just a little bit flatter than that. So any of you that are perfect pitch readers, I'm sorry, it is just slightly flat. But that's at 430. Right. I think we should move on and we should have a little bit of a sing-song as a group. So we'll have a very quick little warm-up, and then we'll look at Sanctus, which is on page 77 on the score that Nick has sent out. I know many of you have got different scores going on, and they're very, very similar, and you will discover the little moments where things are slightly different. Okay, so if you find Sanctus, page 77, while we'll do a little warm-up. And first of all, we can all do this together. We're just going to do some humming, and we're going to go down, and we're going to go nice and low and relax everything. So we're going to sing like this. Your turn. Going down. Get a nice buzz. Take a deep breath. Go through. When it gets too low, grumble for a bit. I can't get any lower, but we'll do one for the basses. And thank you very much for all those people in the comments who are helping other people out with finding the right page in their score. That's really, really useful. Exactly what we want the chat to be. Yeah, thank you. Now we're going to go from the bottom to the top note. 1, 2, 3, your turn. Going up. Change from change from change from there. Change from just a few more for the others. One last one. That was for the sopranos and the real tenors, not like me. Brilliant. Hopefully all those page numbers are coming in. One more little thing I did see on the chat. It was somebody's birthday today, and as part of our warm-up, it was Steffi. Happy birthday. So from over 400 people singing all the way around the world, please join me in singing happy birthday to Steffi in F major. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Steffi. Happy birthday to you. Cool. Oh, good. So we've done a brief warm-up. If you can do a little bit more warming up, if you need to do it before you come to your choir rehearsal, we will always do something very short. But if you need more, then you need to just arrive a few minutes earlier and do some humming, some singing of anything, just gently around the house before we start. So, you will not be hearing each other, unfortunately. No, you're completely in your own little world. But eventually, when you press record, yes, you will hear yourself at the concert singing as part of the massive, massive choir from all the way around the world. So, should we have a go at singing Sanctus? I just moved my bit of paper over here. I've got my music on my iPad. If anyone else has got their music electronically, put the PDF on my iPad. And I'm actually using a little app called Fourscore, which is really, really Handy, which is spelt F-O-R-S-C-O-R-E, Fourscore. It does cost a little bit. I think it's £10 or £8, something like that, but it is brilliant for music. And since I got my iPad just over a year ago, everything I've ever done is now on my iPad. So everything that I've been doing virtually as well for the past 7 months is on my iPad in front of me, and I can just call it up. I can do page turns, all sorts of really clever things. If you're on paper, great, do it traditional way. Make sure you've got, I call it my essential pencil, because there will be things that you will need to do. Steve Powell, Fourscore, thumbs up. High five for all of that. Excellent. So, shall we have a go at this Sanctus? One of the things that we have to get right, and we will practice a few times, is the beginnings of some of these songs, of course. I've got to conduct you in, and I've got to press the button that starts the choir, okay? Sanctus. So, song for the basses, song for the tenors, song for the altos, song for the sopranos. If you've never sung this before, just sit back and listen. Yeah, that's absolutely no problem. Some of you will just be able to blast this through, some won't. Here we go. Get the right button. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sanctus, 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 Dominus Deus Sabaoth, Penis und Celis et
Wow, brilliant. And the fact that there were no comments going on means you were all having a good old sing. Excellent. So you heard the quartet. Get used to singing with that quartet, because those are the people that we'll be rehearsing with, okay, for the next 2 weeks. Exactly that sound. I can cue things over the top as well, so I'll be shouting out basses as your entrance, tenors and that sort of thing. But when we do the sectional rehearsals, it will be just one of those things. Can you make notes on Fourscore? Yes, you can. You can write all over it with your finger and do all sorts of clever things. I would recommend it heartily. So that was Sanctus. Really good. Thank you very much for singing, joining in. So, things that you can do in virtual rehearsals that you can't normally. Normally, you can't sing along with all the parts, can you? Now, if you're a bass and you've booked in your time to do the bass rehearsals, there's no reason why you can't join the tenors. Why not? Stretch yourself. If you're in quarantine like we are in the UK, many of you may have just a little bit of extra time on your hands. So why not have a sing along with the soprano parts? It's entirely up to you, because you have the flexibility and the choice. So you can sing along with all the parts, your choice. Remember, you can rewind and play again. So if you thought, wow, that was really exciting, that's faster than I'm used to, says the tearaways. Yeah, exactly. There's going to be some really exciting speeds on this one. You can rewind and play it again. But we will cover all these pieces. Okay, no worries. You can, of course, come to rehearsals wearing your PJs. You can wear whatever you like. Another bonus, because we can't see you, we can't hear you, but we can see your fingers tapping if you give us any information there. You can have a drink, a cup of tea or a glass of wine if it's in the evening, if you prefer, which is great, isn't it? Drink a tea, PJs. Ah, yeah, the other thing. If you get it wrong, normally in a choir, sometimes people go, like that, don't they? They look at you and say, oh, you got it wrong, and you have to sort of like hide a little bit. Of course, go for it. Get it wrong and go, I got it wrong, rewind and have another go. Yeah? And that is the joys of all of this stuff. And when you do your recording, if you record a whole thing, there's just one note that's out of time or out of pitch, you can change things. We can change a few things back in the recording studio. There's a little question here. I'm on a max volume on PC, but recording was a little quiet. If other people think it was a little bit quiet, let me know, because that's one of the things that I'd like to double check, is that you've got enough volume. Try headphones is a good, good example. But if you can let me know that, it's a bit too quiet and you've put all your volumes on, then let me know, because I can make it go a little bit louder. I just don't want to blast your ears out. I think, what's a question there? Good question, Victoria Westwood. Can you slow down YouTube to practice? When this has been finished being a live recording and it stops, give it a little bit of time to process. And yes, I believe you can go into something and actually slow it down, so you'll be able to hear and practice slowly, which is, I think you do it by half time and quarter time, which is amazing. There's some little settings in there. Maybe Nick from Run by Singers will be able to have a look and find that out and share that with us. This is what this morning's all about, is finding out how we're going to work this together. For the Americans out there, I know you, of course, don't talk about what we talk about here with semi-quavers, semi-breves, minims, crotchets and quavers. You have a different system. I work with an American in a musical theatre class that I teach. And yes, he's always talking about whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, eighth notes and 16th notes. Whole notes, semi-breves. Half notes, minims. Quarter notes, crotchets. Eighth notes, quavers. 16th notes, semi-quavers. I'll try and use both of those. Good. You can increase the volume on YouTube as well. That's a good point, yes. But generally speaking, a few people saying they need a little bit more quiet. So I can edge that up for rehearsals. I can tweak that, not a problem at all. Things that I've learnt in doing some of this recording online since March. Okay. Quite a few things. I've done Zoom choirs, I've done YouTube live choirs, YouTube recorded choirs, I've done Teams, Microsoft Teams choirs. I've done a lot since March. And some of the things that I've noticed on the recordings is, because you'll be recording on your mobile phone, probably, you might be doing it on a computer, don't know, a device, it's generally quite close to your voice. So a lot of people will record themselves and then play it back and go, oh my goodness, I'm so loud. And then they start to sing quietly. The problem is, if we get a recording of you singing very, very quietly, we can't make it. We can make quiet singing sound loud, but not the other way around. So you really need to sing up. Don't worry about it sounding loud on there. It will just be your voice, and it will sound loud because you're going to give it gusto, aren't you? Lots of energy and stuff. Excellent. That's number one. Don't worry about the mic being too close. Endings of words like excelsis, because the mic is so close, if all those S's aren't in the same place, it sounds quite messy. We haven't got the natural acoustics of a great cathedral to cover it up, so we need to be quite precise. Hence why the essential pencil will be really important to write in when and where we're going to put all those S's, and is it going to be excelsis, Italian, all those sort of things. We shall go through and look at those in more detail as we go through the sectional rehearsals. The tempo is a lot more strict as well, because what we've done, just so you know, we've recorded the organ part first, and to get the organ to be right on the beat, we've recorded it all to a click track, which means that it's very, very metronomic and we keep on the beat, so we cannot be too flexible. But there are flexible moments, ritenutos, rallentandos, fermatas, pauses, where I will be conducting to make sure we all hold it together. So you will need to watch the conducting and listen to some of the organ parts just to fill in those gaps to make sure we all stay together. It can't drag. You can't do what you want. You have to do what is there. Right. Shall we do another sing through something? Let's have a sing through Lacrimosa. I won't be able to adjust the volume for this one now, but in rehearsals this afternoon I will just up the volume a little bit more, and those that are finding it that they can't push it anymore will be able to get a better volume, and those that are saying, oh, it's fine, it'll be easier for you just to reduce the volume a little bit. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Lacrimosa. We're going to have a sing through that one. That's on my score, the one that Nick sent out, page 52. And I'm just finding my way there. Look at that. That's really handy having an iPad like that. So we're going to have a look at Lacrimosa. If you haven't got the page number ready, don't panic, don't panic. Press pause. Press pause. And then you've got your time to sit there and find it. There's a question from somebody else. Is it just audio recording or visual too? It's just audio recording. We're just picking up your voice. Thank you for all those extra page numbers. Boom! You're all on it. Haha! This technology is amazing, isn't it? That I can say I'm going to do this page and then somebody on the other side of the world can say, I'm using this thing and it's on this page. Brilliant. Well done, all of you. So, Lacrimosa. Just having a quick look through just to check. When we get to the end, the very last little amen, there will be a slowing down on the ah, okay, and you'll watch me, and then we get to the men, and on the men, it's the pause, and we have to know how long the pause is. It has to be the same, and it's going to be the same every time. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the 7th beat, the slow time, I'm cutting you all off. Just so that you know that. I've literally written in my score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with a big line under number 7 saying off on 7. So you know when to put your n of amen. Okay? Watch me and I'll do it, but it just will help you if you write those numbers in. We shall talk through after this one how you're going to do the actual recording. Then we've got our little video from Jeremy Jackman. Got to get his surname right. And then I think we're almost done for our welcome. So, are we ready with a Lacrimosa? Here are our notes. Basses, tenors, altos, sopranos. And here we go. Cool. I hope that was good. That was good. I actually timed that just right, I think, as well, the counting. Of course, I can give you all those counts orally through your headphones when you're actually recording as well. So you'll hear all of that. So, a couple of questions. People are now getting twitchy. How are we going to record this? How's it going to work? Okay, so there will be a video that you can watch, and it's a video of me showing you how it's set up. There will be some instructions as well from Nick, but this is what you'll need to do. You'll need 2 devices. You have to have 2 devices. That is the speed for the performance. 2 devices. So one device that will be playing the YouTube rehearsal. In your ears, one headphone in perhaps, one headphone off. One so you can hear me and the music. One ear open so you can hear yourself. It helps better with tuning. You might prefer to. Just try it. So that's one thing. That's the music from YouTube coming into your ear. Then on either another computer, a laptop, you need to then be able to record. I would use a phone because it's the easiest thing. 99% of phones have all got a recording app, a voice memo it's called sometimes, recording. It's literally press the button and it goes into recording. So the process will be this. In the rehearsal session, I will be telling you all, we're now going to record this piece if you're ready to record. So you all know that this is a moment coming up. And then I will ask you all to clap in time with me, and we can try this now. We're going to clap on number 3. So 1, 2, 3. That clap is what you need to record. So when I say, are you ready to clap, you need to have already pressed record on your device. So it's recording in the background. Doesn't matter if it's a minute early, really doesn't matter at all. It's sitting there waiting and recording everything. Your coughs, you're getting things ready. That's not a problem at all, because the most important thing is that clap. When you do the clap, that will be the signal for the sound recording chap, Connor. He'll see that literally on his screen. He'll see a massive, great big spike. And he lines up all those spikes together. So he knows that then when I press play and you sing with your headphones in, it will all be in synchronization. So you do need 2 devices to do the recording. It doesn't have to be a phone. It could be a laptop and a tablet, 2 laptops, a PC. It can be anything, but you will need 2 devices, likely, unless you're very clever with a computer, to get the sound out of one and recording on another. But it is possible on a computer, PC or an Apple. So that's the system, but remember there will be a video and there will be the description, so you can follow that. And for the first 2, the first rehearsal, I will take you through that step by step. I'll help you. I'll say, right, now do this, now do that. And in that rehearsal, you might not actually be doing it there, of course, because you might be thinking, I just want to get these notes right. And then at the weekend, I'm going to do my recording, because that's fine as well, remember, because you can go back to that time where we recorded it and do it again. And I think the plan is that Nick will be sending out some links so that you'll be able to find those rehearsal points a lot easier. He's also sending you out some Dropbox links, and this is where you can upload your music. There'll be more instructions on how to do that. But the Dropbox, if that's a little bit too tricky for you, luckily because we're doing singing, there is email available, but it just causes a little bit more hassle at Nick's end, because imagine all those email coming in, yeah? We don't want that if possible. It'd be really handy to have the tracks straight into the Dropbox. As soon as you've done it, Connor can start making it sound lovely. Yeah, it's very exciting, isn't it? I think there's some questions about scores and dots and things like that. We will cover those in the actual sectional rehearsals. don't worry. That's what those are for. If you haven't got headphones for your computer, you may need to borrow a pair of headphones from somewhere. If you're going to record on another device, on nearly all phones have a pair of headphones somewhere in the box. Apart from, of course, mine, which is Google Pixel, doesn't have one because it was designed without that one. So if you're looking for other ways of dropping your recordings in, have a speak with Nick. Nick, Run by Singers, he's the chap who's coordinating all of those parts coming in. I'm just doing the music. But that's what we're doing here. So we've explained how to record. I think now I'll take a little break because we can have a listen to Jeremy Jackman. You might have a few more questions and I will check out those. Let's have a listen to Jeremy about the mysteries of Mozart, because there are many mysteries around this piece. So it's going to be really interesting to have a listen to him. So this is Jeremy Jackman. Here we go.
Hello, my name's Jeremy Jackman, and Nick Couchman has asked me to say a few words to you to introduce Mozart's Requiem and at the front of your virtual Vienna experience. I'm delighted that you're addressing such an important piece of music, which has such a fascinating history. There can't be a piece of music, I think, in the choral repertoire that has so many mysteries attached to it, some of which we can unravel today, and some of which will remain forever, well, a mystery. Let's see, when I have conducted this in the past in Vienna at the Karlskirche, the circumstances were ideal in many ways. A fantastic church, a beautiful, very resonant acoustic. It was, however, extremely cold. Well, your experience on this occasion will be slightly different, I think, because you'll be recording this in your spare bedroom or whatever in your house, so I'm afraid the acoustic won't be quite so resonant, but you are trading that for a much warmer atmosphere than the one in which we have sung this piece many times over the last 7 or 8 years. So to the piece itself, let's see what we think we all know about it. I think most people do know that when Mozart was writing the Requiem, he was unwell, became increasingly unwell, died before he finished writing it. The piece was given to a pupil, Franz Süssmayr, who finished it off, and that is the way the piece has come down to us. There are lots of bits of information that are missing from that account. It is essentially true. But let's start at the beginning. How did this piece come to be written in the first place? The answer is that Mozart received a visit one day from a mysterious stranger who turned out to be the valet of a Count Walsegg, an Austrian count, an Austrian noble, who was quite a fair amateur musician. He was a bit of a flute player and a bit of a cellist, and what he liked to do was to commission pieces of music from composers and ask them not to sign it, not to put their name on it, so that he could organise musical events and allow those who were taking part to think that perhaps he might have written the music himself. Those were the circumstances under which the Requiem was commissioned, and Mozart was offered a fee much in excess of the normal fee for such a piece of music for those circumstances to prevail. And Mozart was attracted to this and started work with a will, but he had to stop because the then Prince Leopold II was about to be created King of Bohemia, and for these celebrations Mozart was commissioned to write an opera. It was La Clemenza di Tito. So he had to stop writing the Requiem in order to write the opera, and indeed went to Prague and conducted the first performance. By the time he came home, he was unwell, took up the Requiem again and wrote with increasing fervour. But his illness overtook him, and in his last days he was lying in his bed surrounded by his musical friends, giving instructions about the piece to those surrounding him, and on his last day alive he lay in his bed surrounded by his friends and actually sang those parts of the Requiem that up to that moment existed. And on the 5th of December, just after midnight, 1791, he died. So here is this piece of music, unfinished, and Constanza, his wife, the family heavily in debt, and she not knowing which way to turn or what to do. What has come to light recently is that 5 days after his death, and after Mozart's burial, there was a memorial service for him at St. Michael's Church in Vienna on the 10th of December. And contemporary accounts state that the Requiem was performed at that service. Well, of course, we know that's not possible, because not enough of it existed for it to be performed. But we assume that by that is meant that the Kyrie and the Requiem and the Kyrie were performed, the two first movements of the piece, which were pretty well complete. The Requiem lacked orchestration, but because it's a fugue, there was a standard way of orchestrating a fugue in the 18th century, and that task was left to Franz Sussmayer, who we know completed the Requiem, and another of his students, Jakob Freistekler. And Freistekler did the string parts and the woodwind parts, and Sussmayer did the trumpet parts and the timpani. And then there was the question of how to get the rest of the piece of music written. Constanza was very keen to receive the commission fee for this piece of music. And so she gave it, not to Sussmayer. She was a good enough musician to know that perhaps Sussmayer wasn't out of the premiership of Viennese composers of the day, and she gave it in the first instance to a man called Thomas Eibler, also a friend of the family, a fine composer, and had been at Mozart's bedside also during his last illness. Eibler filled in what was necessary for the movements from the Dies Irae onwards, because the vocal parts for all of these things were written, and it was a matter of filling in the missing orchestrations. But when he came to the Lacrimosa, it became evident to him the enormity of his task. And he felt that he simply didn't have what it took to finish such a wonderful piece of music. And so he gave it back to Constanza. And at that point, she gave it to Sussmayer, who'd been closest perhaps to Mozart, and had certainly received instruction from him about how various parts of the Requiem should be completed. And it was left to Sussmayer to do this completion. So what did he do? Well, the first thing he did was to hoover all of Eibler's additions out of the score, made his own completions of those movements, carried on with the piece of music, obeyed Mozart's instruction to use the music of the beginning of the Requiem to conclude it, and in that form he copied the whole thing out again, and thus it was presented to Count Walsegg in the spring of 1792. Actually, interestingly, he forged Mozart's signature at the top of that score and then wrote the date 1792, which of course alerted the whole world to the fact that something was wrong with the piece, because everybody knew that Mozart had died at the end of 1791. I could leave the story there in many ways. What that actually means, or appears to mean, is that an examination of the handwriting says that Sussmayer must have written unaided the Sanctus, the Benedictus and the Agnus Dei. I don't believe it. If you look at the music at the beginning of the Sanctus and listen to that, it's too good for Sussmayer to have written that unaided, and I suspect Mozart dictated that section to him. If you look at the beginning of the Agnus Dei, once again the quality of the music is of the sort that Sussmayer couldn't manage on his own. And I think that perhaps there was an earlier sketch that gave Sussmayer the idea of how to complete that section of the work. Sussmayer spent his life going around the world telling people that he alone had written a Benedictus, and I don't doubt it. But we do now know what I've suspected for a long time, and that is that he didn't write the melody for it. Because if you look at the homework book of one of Mozart's piano pupils, Barbara Ployer, you'll find that tune in her homework book. Mozart wrote that some years previously. But it is reasonable to assume that Sussmayer wrote the movement out, as it is reasonable to assume that he wrote the two fugues at the end of the Sanctus and the Benedictus, because the workmanship is frankly not great. So how do we go about performing this work today, knowing what we know? Most people still use this version of the piece, although it is possible these days to use more modern versions where 20th and 21st century editors have hoovered Sussmayer out of the score and written their own completions. The trouble, if there is a trouble with these completions, is that these editors, of course, were living in our own times. And it's very difficult to remove 250 years worth of music from your mind when attempting to write music by Mozart. At least the Mozart and Sussmayer version of the piece has the authenticity of being a truly 18th century work. But there are difficulties, and I'll mention one. In the Tuba Mirum, the score shows that the trombone solo should play throughout the movement, accompanying the bass soloist, then the tenor, then the alto, then the soprano, and finally all four of them singing in quartet. There is a line left vacant in the score for this to happen. But Mozart only wrote the trombone part as far as the end of the bass solo. When Sussmayer took possession of the score, he attempted to extend this solo at least over the tenor soloist's work. But actually it's not brilliant writing, and when he got to the end of the tenor solo he simply put a double bar line in and didn't write any more. Well, this means that when the alto and the soprano sing, there are obvious holes in the score which are crying out to be filled. And as a conductor, I must tell you that every time I've performed the work in this version, that has worried me more and more. And eventually, some years ago, I decided to do something about it. So I got in touch with St. Peter and asked if I might have a Zoom meeting with Mozart, and he agreed. When I'd set the machinery up, Mozart appeared on the screen, but he was obviously in a hurry. "You've interrupted a rehearsal," he told me. "I'm conducting the Celestial Orchestra, and by the way, von Karajan is playing timpani, and I'm giving him a very hard time." But he did give me enough time to explain what it was that he intended to write at that point. "I can't understand why you're getting in touch with me, dear boy," he said. "It's really quite simple. I'm sure you could have worked this out for yourself." Nevertheless, he did tell me what it was that he intended to write, and then he went back to his rehearsal. So in your performance of this for Virtual Vienna, when it comes to the Tuba Mirum movement, you will hear the trombone playing from beginning to end of the movement. And that much of that story is true. And if you believe the rest of it, then you'll believe anything. And on that note, I shall leave you to your labours over the Mozart Requiem. Enjoy your rehearsals, enjoy the performance, and I look forward to hearing just what it is you've managed to do.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Yes, that was lovely. We all want his sofa, don't we? What a lovely sofa. A lovely man as well. Really, really interesting to listen to. I think we've got over 500 people watching and joining in this, which is amazing. Very exciting. A couple of questions that I was scanning through. Why do you put your phones on airplane mode? Same with your computer. If you have any of those little pop-ups that go bing bong, you've got a message, bing bong, that little bing bong will be heard if you're recording, okay? So putting your phone into airplane mode means that you won't hear any of that. But then remember to turn it back on, otherwise you might miss picking somebody up or something like that. So that's why airplane mode is good. Currently, if you're watching on YouTube, occasionally the sound that you hear and my voice when we're live goes out of synchronization. If that happens, and it usually happens some point in YouTube, it's either because my internet or your internet or something, it's just a bit busy. If that happens, press pause, stand up, 20-second dance, stretch yourself, sit back down, press play again, and by that point it seems to have grabbed enough and then buffered it and ready to go. If you then watch YouTube back, not live, and you go back, then it should all be in synchronization with each other. That's the way it works. Just a reminder, we are recording just the audio, just your voices. I'm sure Nick would like some photos of you singing, because that would be really interesting to sort of put a collage of you all singing at home with your different devices, and share that with you all. But please, it's just the audio. A couple of people talking about how on their computer they've managed to have YouTube up and a thing called QuickTime. That's two things. That works really nicely, and then you don't need the phone. But well done. Remember, headphones, headphones, headphones. Other little notes that I've put here. So in the rehearsal, we will do a little bit of note bashing of a movement, one movement, and we check that everyone's happy with everything. Then I give you a recording opportunity, as we're going to call it. So you could record your singing voice there and then within the live session. But if you want to rehearse it, then that is a marker that we will remember. And then later on during the week or an evening at the weekend, you can go back to that point and then do your recording. And we do it movement by movement. So we'll cover the whole thing. That will be the same in the tutti rehearsals. So there are two opportunities. You can either record with the soprano part, for example, extra loud in your ear, or if you prefer, you can record with all four parts at the same volume. It's your choice. In the sessions, we will try and keep the technical talk to a minimum, because the rehearsals really need to be about, here are the notes, this is where we're going to come off, this is the pronunciation of this bit. If you have any technical queries, Nick at Run by Singers is sitting waiting for all your technical questions about, oh, my score's gone missing, it doesn't download, where do I upload? That's going to be his job. Do email the office. I would also encourage many of you to go back through your emails and find the original email from Nick, because a lot of the questions that are popping up might be answered in that email. I have done teaching for a long time, and I know that you're busy, and so you probably would have just clicked the link and you're coming in here, and now you're sitting watching me and you've got all these questions. The answers are probably in the textbook. Yeah, they're probably in that email, so please go back and have a read of that email. It's got a lot of information, I know, and there are a lot of links. So the slower that you read through it, ask all of those things. You can record each movement, happy with it, and then you can upload that one movement, and then you can put a little tick by the side of that one. You can record in any order, it doesn't matter, because you're going to send it to the different drop boxes. You're going to title it soprano, etc., etc. Really good question there from Dot. There are some question, a point. There are also some FAQs on the website. Really good to go and look at those FAQs to really make sure you understand what's going on. It's now 12 o'clock. I've overrun by a little bit. We need some lunch before we get the sopranos together in 2 hours. For some of you, you might need dinner. Some of you might need breakfast. Some of you might need to wake up. I don't know. It's very odd having people all around the world at different times. I hope you've enjoyed this welcome session. Thank you very much, Jeremy, and for Nick, for your contributions. I will check out that sound levels for later on. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be magic. The whole putting this together at the end, if we get 100, 200 singers all singing together, would be magical. Because so far all the Zoom stuff that I've been doing has just been 40 people, I think is the maximum I've done, 45. So this is going to be really exciting. So thank you very much for coming. Go to bed, wake up, do whatever you need. I have to wait a few little extra seconds before I press stop. I think at that point the comments, the chat sort of finishes. but you can carry on writing comments underneath the video. Thank you very much for all those lovely comments saying thank you very much. Excited but nervous. Brilliant. That's a really good comment. I am also excited and nervous. Just channel those nerves into excitement and some of those really fantastic high notes, some of those long notes, and that passion and verve that comes out of this, and some of the jazzy bits as well, which I'm really looking forward to. Look at those. Thanks. Thumbs up. Well done, all of you, from all over the place. That was a good session. Going to now press the stop button in a few moments, but I'm just going to read some comments and look whimsical at the camera because sometimes it cuts it off at the end. So here's me looking whimsical and reading the comments. Superb session. Excited. Love it. Great introduction.